I want to talk to you today about the miracle of endurance. You may be in a place where things haven't worked out the way you hoped. Maybe the promise is taking longer than you expected, or the door you prayed for hasn't opened yet. But let me encourage you, there's a miracle in your endurance. When you choose to keep going despite the odds, when you decide to remain faithful even when it's hard, something begins to shift. God sees your persistence. He honors your perseverance. You may not realize it, but every time you choose to keep believing, you're moving closer to your breakthrough. There is power in not giving up, and your endurance is making room for the miracle. Life will always bring moments that test us. Seasons where it feels like everything is coming against us: financial setbacks, broken relationships, disappointments that stack up one after another. It's easy to think, I can't take any more, or I'm just not strong enough. But here's the truth, you're stronger than the struggle. The fact that you're still standing, still showing up, still believing, even when you don't see anything changing, is proof that you have what it takes. God didn't bring you this far to leave you now. You're equipped, you're empowered, and you're full of resilience that you may not even realize you have yet. Sometimes we think strength is about feeling powerful or having everything under control. But real strength shows up in the quiet moments. The mornings you get out of bed even when your heart is heavy, the times you choose kindness when you're hurting, the nights you cry but still pray anyway. That's endurance, that's strength, and God sees it. You may feel weary, but that doesn't mean you're weak. You're stronger than what tried to break you. You're stronger than the depression, stronger than the anxiety, stronger than the delay. You see, endurance isn't about always having joy or peace in the process. It's about making a decision to stay the course. It's a mindset that says, I'm not giving up just because it's hard. I'm going to trust God through this. That's when miracles happen. Not in the easy places, but in the pressing, the waiting, the enduring. God refines us through endurance. He takes the struggle and uses it to shape our character, deepen our faith, and enlarge our capacity. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He was betrayed, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison, all before the promise came to pass. But he didn't give up. He didn't let bitterness take root. He endured, and in the right time, God elevated him. The same God who brought Joseph through every trial is working behind the scenes in your life too. You don't have to understand how it will happen. You just have to endure. Keep showing up. Keep believing. Keep moving forward. We often live in a world that values speed, fast answers, quick results, instant success. But God operates on a different schedule. His timing is perfect, even when it feels delayed. Endurance is what connects us to that divine timing. When you endure, you align yourself with the rhythm of heaven. You may think, I should be further along by now, or why is this taking so long? But what feels like a delay is often divine preparation. God is not just concerned with the outcome. He's shaping you for it, and endurance is part of that process. You see, when you endure, you're not just waiting. You're waiting well. You're waiting with faith. You're showing God that you trust Him more than the timeline, that you believe in His promises, even when you can't see the evidence, and that kind of faith gets heaven's attention. The Bible says, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. The proper time is God's appointed time, and endurance is what carries you there. Think about David. He was anointed king as a teenager, but didn't take the throne until years later. In between, he faced betrayal, isolation, and even people trying to kill him. He could have said, God, I thought you had a plan for me. Why all this struggle? But David kept doing what was right. He kept trusting God. That endurance didn't delay the promise. It activated it. At the exact right moment, God moved, and David stepped into everything he had been preparing for. The same is true for you. That job you didn't get, that door that didn't open, it wasn't a denial, it was a delay. And delays in God's hands are never wasted. They're divine. They build something in you that success alone never could. You learn patience, wisdom, strength, and compassion. You become the kind of person who can handle the blessing when it comes. And that's the miracle. Your endurance is not empty effort, it's spiritual alignment. Sometimes we think endurance means standing still, but it's really about moving forward in faith, even when nothing around you changes. It's trusting that while you wait, God is working. Behind the scenes, He's orchestrating people, circumstances, and opportunities that are all part of His plan for you. And in the right season, everything will fall into place, not because you forced it, but because you endured and let Him be in control. We don't like setbacks. They're frustrating, painful, and often come at the worst time. But here's what you need to understand. Every setback you face isn't just an obstacle. It's an opportunity. An opportunity to grow stronger, to dig deeper, and to build the kind of spiritual muscle that can carry the weight of your destiny. Just like physical muscles grow through resistance, your faith grows through resistance. And every time you choose to keep believing in the face of disappointment, every time you stay in peace instead of panic, you're building something powerful on the inside. God never promised us a life without opposition, but He did promise that we'd overcome it. And part of that overcoming comes through endurance, through getting back up when life knocks you down. Setbacks train your spirit. They teach you how to walk by faith and not by sight. They give you the kind of grit and resilience that can't be developed when everything is easy and going your way. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. If anyone had a reason to give up, it was Joseph. But instead of letting the setbacks break him, he let them make him. Each difficulty became training ground for the position God had prepared for him. He didn't let bitterness take root. He didn't start questioning his worth. He kept doing the right thing, even when the wrong things kept happening. And eventually he was promoted from the prison to the palace. Why? Because the setbacks built his spiritual muscle. They prepared him for the weight of leadership. You may be in a season right now where it feels like you've been pushed back, like you've lost progress. But don't be discouraged. God is stretching your capacity. He's enlarging your faith. The enemy thought the setback would stop you, but what he didn't realize is that it was strengthening you. It was making you into someone who can handle more, believe for more, and sustain more. Sometimes the very thing that feels like it's holding you back is what's launching you forward. When you learn to praise God in the storm, to trust Him in the trial, to stay faithful even when it's hard, that's when you become dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. That's when your endurance becomes a weapon. That's when your faith gets stronger, your confidence deeper, your vision clearer. You're not just going through something, you're growing through it. And what's coming out of this season is a stronger, wiser, more powerful version of you. One who doesn't fold under pressure, one who stands firm in the fire, one who knows that every setback is just setting the stage for a greater comeback. There are moments in life when everything in you wants to give up, when the pressure feels unbearable, when the waiting becomes exhausting, when your faith seems to be hanging by a thread. But it's in those very moments when you choose to keep going that you tap into a strength you didn't even know you had. That's what endurance does. It digs deep into the well of your spirit and pulls out a power that only adversity could uncover. God never wastes pain. He doesn't allow struggles in your life without a purpose. When you choose to endure, when you keep believing despite the odds, you're not just surviving, you're activating hidden strength. Strength that was placed inside you for moments like these. Strength that can't be revealed on the mountaintop, but only in the valley. It's like a seed planted in the dark soil. You don't see what's happening on the surface, but deep underground, roots are growing. Structure is forming, foundation is being built. That's what happens in seasons of endurance. You're being rooted for something greater, you see. Anyone can be strong when everything is going their way. But real strength shows up when everything is against you and you still choose to believe. That's when heaven leans in. That's when the supernatural begins to work in your favor, because you've shown God that you trust Him, not just with the blessing, but with the burden. Not just in the breakthrough, but in the battle, and in that faithfulness, he releases a strength that is not your own. When David faced Goliath, he didn't just show up with confidence. That confidence was built over years of enduring rejection, isolation, and battles with lions and bears. Every fight David endured prepared him for the fight that mattered most. And when that giant came, David didn't flinch, because his endurance had already unlocked the strength he needed. You may be walking through a season that's stretching you, that's testing you in ways you've never imagined. But what if the strength you're praying for isn't going to come from outside? It's going to rise from within. What if this pressure is producing power? What if this waiting is building wisdom? What if this pain is awakening purpose? Don't discount the process. Don't rush what God is doing, because what he's forming in you through endurance is stronger than anything the world could ever offer. It's a spiritual strength, a quiet confidence, a holy fire that won't be extinguished by fear, failure, or fatigue. You're not weak for struggling. You're not failing because it's taking time. You're being refined, strengthened, and equipped. The strength you've been searching for has been in you all along. Endurance is just unlocking it. Sometimes we pray, we believe, we work hard, and yet we don't see the breakthrough we're expecting. The doors stay closed, the healing hasn't come, the promotion is delayed. In those moments, it's easy to grow discouraged and start to think maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe God has said no. But in the walk of faith, you have to understand something powerful. A delay is not a denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. God is a God of perfect timing. He sees what you can't see. He knows what's up ahead, and when he delays something, it's not to punish you, it's to prepare you. Sometimes you're ready for the blessing, but the blessing isn't ready for you. Or sometimes the blessing is ready, but your character is still being refined to carry it with strength and humility. That's why we have to trust, not just in what God does, but in when he chooses to do it. Think about Joseph in the Bible. God gave him a dream when he was just a teenager, a dream of leadership, influence, and authority. But it didn't happen right away. In fact, Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and falsely imprisoned. 13 years passed before he saw that dream fulfilled. But in every delay, God was developing something in him. Patience, wisdom, resilience. Joseph didn't let the delay steal the dream. He stayed faithful, and when the time was right, God elevated him to second in command of all of Egypt. You may be in a season where things feel stalled, like the promise is far off and you're tempted to give up. But the same God who spoke that promise to your heart hasn't changed his mind. His silence isn't rejection. His delay isn't disapproval. He's simply aligning things in a way that will not only bless you, but make sure your story inspires others. God doesn't just want to take you to the destination. He wants to shape you on the journey. Delays stretch your faith. They teach you how to praise before the breakthrough, how to trust when you can't trace him, how to believe without seeing. That kind of faith moves mountains. That kind of trust releases miracles. So don't quit in the delay. Don't water down your dreams just because they're taking time. God didn't bring you this far to leave you halfway. If he said it, he'll do it. If he promised it, it's coming. Stay in faith. Stay expectant. Keep showing up. The delay isn't a sign that it's over, it's proof that what's coming is worth the wait. Every challenge you face, every time you push through hardship, every moment you choose to keep going when it would be easier to give up, none of it is wasted. The struggle may be real, but the reward that follows endurance is always greater. That's the miracle of pressing forward when everything inside you says stop. It's not just about surviving the hard seasons, it's about what God is doing in you while you're in them. Endurance isn't just about lasting through difficulty, it's about growing through it. When you endure, you build spiritual muscle. You sharpen your focus. You start to see what really matters. You learn how to depend on God more deeply. You develop compassion, wisdom, and strength you didn't know you had. And the beautiful part is, on the other side of that endurance is always something better than you imagined. When you look back on the hardest chapters of your life, you'll often see that they were the very places where your faith deepened the most. That season of waiting, of weeping, of wondering why, those were the moments that formed your character. And now that you're on the other side, you wouldn't trade them because they made you into who you are. That's the divine exchange. You endure pain, but you come out with purpose. Think about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. He knew what was coming, the cross, the shame, the suffering, and in that moment he prayed, "Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me." Even the Son of God felt the weight of endurance, but then he said, "Yet not my will, but yours be done." That's endurance at its highest form, and because he endured, we were given salvation. The reward changed the world. In your own life, your endurance is not just for you. Somebody else is watching how you walk through the fire. Someone else is finding courage because you didn't quit. Your testimony is giving birth to someone else's breakthrough. That's why the reward is so much bigger than your own blessing. It multiplies, it inspires, it brings hope to others. You might be in the middle of the battle right now. It might feel like the struggle will never end. But don't believe that lie. Every storm has a season. Every night gives way to morning. And when you come out of this, and you will, you'll come out stronger, wiser, more grateful, more powerful. God never lets your suffering be in vain. There's a reward attached to your endurance, not just in heaven, but here and now. A restored marriage, a healed heart, a new opportunity, a peace you didn't know was possible. So keep pushing, keep trusting, keep enduring, because what's ahead is worth it. You may have come here today feeling tired of fighting, tired of waiting, tired of believing for something that hasn't come to pass. Maybe you've been faithful, but you haven't seen the results. You've given it your all, but the mountain still hasn't moved. Friend, let me remind you, just because you don't see anything changing doesn't mean something isn't happening. The God who sees your struggle is the same God who rewards your endurance. He's lining up the right people, arranging the breaks, working behind the scenes in ways you cannot imagine. This is not the time to give up. This is not the time to shrink back. It's the time to press forward like never before. You're not going to stay in this valley forever. You're not going to keep circling the same mountain. God is about to shift the atmosphere in your favor. What took others a lifetime to build, God can bring into your life in a moment, all because you endured. The enemy would love nothing more than for you to settle. Settle in disappointment, settle in fear, settle in discouragement. But you were never created to live a settled life. You were created to soar. You were designed to rise above the storm. There is a champion in you. There is greatness in you. You have a destiny to fulfill, and the key to unlocking it is to endure, to keep walking, keep believing, keep trusting when everything in you wants to quit. So hold your head high, wipe those tears from your eyes. The same God who brought you through before will bring you through again. Your endurance is not just proof of your strength. It's a reflection of your faith. And faith always moves the heart of God. Get ready for the reward. Get ready for the miracle. What you've been praying for, fighting for, standing for, it's on the way. Because those who endure will see the promises of God come to pass in their lives. You are closer than you think. You've come too far to stop now. Keep the faith, keep pressing forward, and watch what God will do. You are strong, you are favored, you are victorious, and yes, you are powerful.